Hello and welcome to another episode of Technically Analytics. I'm back again for the second half of the What is Analytics series, the pitching side of analytics. Ooh, fun. So again, this video is more for beginners, people that want to learn about analytics. I talked about the hitters in my last video, and this one will be about the pitchers. So we're going to start with the basics. Earned run average, or ERA. Earned runs divided by innings pitched. Yeah, that's it. Simple. All right, so earned run average is the amount of runs, the average amount of runs allowed by a pitcher. As with most of these pitcher stats, lower is always better. Usually, yeah. Except strikeout numbers, those go up. But yeah, the ERA, pretty simple concept, pretty basic. Tariq Skubal from the Tigers is the league leader in ERA at 2.57. Surprisingly, him and Seth Lugo are fighting it out. Seth Lugo? Yep. That's all I gotta say. Him and Seth Lugo are like at the top, basically. Oh, no, it's him and Corbin Burns, actually. Lugo's in there, though. Anyway, moving on. ERA plus. Yeah, we're already in the pluses. I mean, what can I say? So it's similar to OPS plus, actually. ERA plus is adjusted for a player's home ballpark. 100 is average, so thus if a pitcher has an ERA plus above 100, it means he's above average. If his ERA plus is below 100, he's below average. So it's basically league-wide ERA divided by ERA. Like, that's the formula. So yeah, so Tariq Skubal is league leader in that as well, because usually highest ERA or lowest ERA, highest ERA plus, right? 166. So yeah, pretty self-explanatory, not that hard to understand, I don't think. Yeah, not complicated at all. And then we immediately go into fielding independent pitching, which is complicated, actually. And you can see the formula on screen. Basically, FIP, or fielding independent pitching, it focuses solely on the events a pitcher has the most control over: strikeouts, walks, hit by pitches, and home runs. And it removes results on balls hit into field of play. In other words, how well does a pitcher prevent runs and cause strikeouts? It's similar to ERA, but it can also be a good measure of how good a defense is when the ball is hit. So like, if you have a really good defense behind you as a pitcher, your FIP could actually be lower than it would be if your defense was bad behind you. So yeah, it can measure both, but it's mostly used to measure how good a pitcher is at getting outs. Like, that's what it means. It's just like, how good are you at getting outs? How good are you at striking guys out? If you're a high strikeout guy, I'm thinking like a Dylan Cease type, like you have a low FIP because all you do is get outs, right? Strikeouts. I mean, it works. So Chris Sale is actually the leader in FIP. Skubal wasn't. Actually, his FIP wasn't that bad, but yeah, Chris Sale, he's been killing it. He might get a Cy Young, actually, and I kind of called it in my Chris Sale video. But yeah, FIP is a good stat. I like the stat. I like to use it for defense. I like to use it for pitchers. It's in combination with ERA. Like, it's a cousin of it, essentially, because like, if your ERA is like low but your FIP is high, it could just be bad defense, or you could just be allowing a lot of hits but not allowing a lot of runs, right? So, and that's where the next stat actually comes in, right? What if that's the case? Then you look at WHIP. Yeah, FIP, WHIP. They all rhyme. WHIP, and it's an abbreviation it's an acronym for what the formula is. It's walks plus hits divided by innings pitched. Yeah. So W is walk, H is hit, IP is innings pitched. So WHIP. And essentially it's the reverse of like an on-base percentage. It's a pitcher's on-base percentage, how much he allows people on base. So it measures how many base runners the pitcher allows per inning pitched. So on average, how many base runners do you allow per inning? And the league leader is Logan Gilbert at 0.873. That's really, really, really good, actually. That's a really good WHIP. That's really good. Like, an average WHIP is like 1.00, right? average. Like if you have one dot, you're average. You're 1.11 is like average. So if you're like 1, 2, 1, 3, it's like a little below. And if you're higher than that, then you're just below average. You're allowing way too many runners. Or yeah. And then if you're below 1, you're good. You're really good. Like anywhere 8, 7, even 7's like really, really good. Very rare. So yeah, whip's a good stat to see if a pitcher's actually pitching well or if it's just defense and like fluky, like they just they're just getting lucky kind of stuff. It's not really lucky, but like yeah, it actually tells you how many base runners they're allowing and how many hits they're giving up, how many walks, hit by pitches, all that stuff. So it's a good stat. I always use it all the time in my videos. So yeah. Ratios, yay. Hits per 9, walks per 9, home runs per 9, strikeouts per 9. These measure how many times each specific action happens in any given span of 9 innings or a full game. So again, I'm going with averages here because, yeah, home runs. So a home run per 9 on average. Well, it's not really per 9, but like the average pitcher home run allowed is 3.1%. And then the average pitcher strikeout is 22.7%. And then the average pitcher walk is 8.4%. So it's kind of like similar. It's basically the reverse of it's just a little slightly different than the hitters ratios average. Pretty obvious, but we can actually look at Tyreek Skubal's hits per 9 and all that stuff. I think we can look at that. Do I have that up? I don't. But we can look at that because I can just give you an example of what those numbers look like for a guy that's really good. And obviously the more strikeouts and the less home runs, less hits you give up, the better you are. That's how that works usually. So for example, Tyreek Skubal this season, he's at a 6.7 hit per 9, 0.8 hit home run per 9, 1.8 walk per 9, and a 10.7 strikeouts per 9. So yeah, that's pretty good. Like those are pretty good. Those are really good numbers actually. The hits is a little bit high. You probably want to be more around actually no, it's pretty good. Never mind. What am I saying? It's pretty good. Like you want to be low as hits as you can get, but yeah, it's pretty decent. And home runs, you want to be below 1. Walks, you want to be below 2. Yes, he's good there. And strikeouts, you want to be as high as you can be. Like if you get to like 12 or 13 strikeouts per 9, you're an elite pitcher. Like I think Chris Sale has done that. He's done like a 13 per 9 strikeout season before. So yeah, basically you want the hits to be lower, and the home runs to be lower. So moving on, we're going to go to batting average on balls in play, or BABIP, but for pitchers. So it's a batting average strictly based on balls in play. For the pitcher, this stat measures how effectively you get outs. So the leader in this category is Ronaldo Blanco, 203. Pretty decent. I mean, it could be good defense, but this stat isn't so much about luck, because if you're unlucky, then your BABIP will be high. In this case, your pitching BABIP will be high. But if you're a good pitcher and you get people out on hits, so this will measure like how effective a ground ball pitcher is, for example, because the ground ball pitchers rely on outs basically in the field rather than like strikeouts. And there's 2 types of pitchers, like, right? If you haven't heard this before, this is 2 types. There's a fly ball pitcher, person that usually is a pitcher that pitches to strikeouts or to like power, like contact, but it's like they, when hitters do hit the ball, they hit it far, like they hit pop-ups or whatever, and they tend to be a little more like home run. They allow more home runs usually because they're more prone to that. Because if your pitcher is out in pop-ups, then you're gonna run into one once in a while where it's not a pop-up, just goes out of the park, right? If it's a short porch or whatever the case may be. And then ground ball pitchers, on the other hand, are different. They pitch to contact, So they're not really striking guys out, but they can, but they're mostly pitching, hitting, making hitters hit the ball on the ground, and then they're getting thrown out. And so they're relying heavily on the defense for that kind of thing. Whereas fly ball pitchers not necessarily relying heavily on the defense, but most fly ball pitchers are elite strikeout guys. So yeah, that's how that usually works. And then we have run value. Again, this is a metric that measures impact on wins, runs on a per pitch basis. For example, run value for a pitcher, run value is a measure of how effective each pitch they have is. So, for example, if their curveball is a positive run value and their cutter is a negative run value, the curveball is a more effective pitch than the cutter. So we're going to use Turg Skubal again as an example. He has a four-seam, changeup, sinker, slider, and curveball. And his fastball is his best pitch. His changeup and curveball are his two not-so-good pitches. So, and his sinker is also pretty good too at 9, and his slider is at 3. So yeah, run value, good for knowing which pitch is working for pitchers and which pitch is not working. Aside from the obvious eye test and all that. So we can stay on the Turg Skubal, and because we're gonna look at chase, whiff, barrel, and hard hit percentages. Again, I'm combining these because it's just they just measure the amount of percentage of times the pitcher gets the batter to do that action. So if you look at Skubal, you can see his percentiles. These are like percentiles on Baseball Savant. And you can see the chase rate, 80th percentile, 31% chase percent. So that means 80% or 31% of the time he's getting batters to chase balls out of the zone. Whiff percent, 32%, 91 percentile in the league. So the percentiles are versus the league, and this is the actual on this side on the little gray numbers. So 32% whiff, meaning he's getting batters to miss 32% of the time on every pitch. So, and then you have, let's see, what did I say? Hard hit and barrel. So hard hit, 6.9 nice percent, 65 percentile. That's not too bad. Hard hit percent, 83%, 34% of the time he's getting batters. Batters are only hitting it 34% of the time hard. So that's pretty decent. He's pretty good at all these categories. Yeah. So that's basically Baseball Savant stuff. And then there's also extension. We can also look at that. It measures how close a pitcher's release point is to home plate. So basically, the more you stretch yourself towards home plate and the more you are able to get, basically the taller you are, the bigger your step is, the closer you are to home plate, and that lessens the distance between you and the batter. So theoretically, you could throw the ball harder, right? It's just physics. I mean, it's simple physics. So extend, and it's not cheating, by the way. If you're 7 foot tall and you can step more than anybody, then you have an advantage. Like, it's just natural. So Skubal is 6.4, extension 38 percentile. He's not the biggest extender. I mean, you gotta look at guys like, I don't know, I'm off the top of my head, Bailey Ober. Look into that guy. He's friggin' 7 foot tall. So yeah. And then average exit velocity, how fast the ball is hit off the bat, and then fly ball, ground ball percentages, a simple percentage of balls hit either in the air or on the ground, like I explained. Yeah, that's just like a simple metric to tell if a pitcher is a fly ball pitcher or a ground ball one. The difference is depending on what they do with it. Like I said, most of the time fly ball guys are strikeout guys and ground ball guys are pitch to contact. But exit velocity, average exit velocity, just that's how fast the ball goes off the bat. Skubal is not too bad, 87.8 on average, 77 percentile. So that's against the league, so he's above average. He's a pretty good pitcher. He's in line probably to win a Cy Young, I would say, right? Yeah, 257, 143 innings. So yeah, he has enough innings. 171 strikeouts. Yeah, he's in line for a Cy Young, possibly in the AL. So that is the pitching portion of the analytics. Let me know if you like this video, if you have questions about more analytics that you want to see, or if you want me to go over the expected stuff, which I don't really like, but I will do it. Don't like expected stuff because, again, it's a prediction, but like, gotta take it with a grain of salt. It's just a prediction, right? So make sure to like and subscribe and tune in next time where I'm gonna discuss something baseball related. Goodbye.